only state in the nation where Spanish is our official language. So New Mexicans understand bold ideas, and the founders of this organization knew its realization wouldn't be easy. That's why you didn't just bet on the progress, you worked for it, and you're working for it today. In the decades since your founding, you have helped countless Latinos and Hispanic Americans access quality education, find good jobs, secure not just decent, affordable, high-quality housing, and quite frankly, fight for the health care that we all deserve as a fundamental right as Americans. You can clap for that. You have marched for our rights in the streets and argued for them in courts, including in the landmark decisions that led directly to the Supreme Court's decision in Brown v. Board. You have fought aggressively against generations of discrimination and demonization, from the No Mexicans Allowed signs that used to hang in hotels and restaurants throughout the United States, to the racist policies and anti-immigration language that still infects our politics today. Now, I'm going to stop and pause right here. When you're elected to Congress, it is a long road to garner the expertise and the advocacy leadership to deal not only with the issues of the community and the constituents you represent, but to fold that into a context that really builds a better America for everyone. It takes time to do that and understand that we're not all alike. I bet I'm preaching to the choir. Hispanics, Latinos, Latinas, we are not one homogenous group. We are powerful, amazing individuals who, quite frankly, in so many ways have built the best of this country. It is something that bears reminding for many other Americans to stand up and lead in the same way. But I was working in Congress in the midst of a sea change in what is now a very dysfunctional Congress. Anger, hatred, discrimination. There was a time when many of us, myself included, wanted to bring dreamers to Congress, have their voices heard, and many in Congress tried to block them from the halls of Congress because they were not citizens. And I say that to you now because, like Roe v. Wade and so many other issues, we assume that after 100 years of fighting, that in a state like mine, hundreds of years, that these fights would be long over. And what we demonstrate in terms of moral character and values about our families and the impact that we make in neighborhoods and communities all across America, that it should be enough. But what I learned, which was a harsh lesson in that moment, it will never be enough. And with two strong Hispanic daughters and a strong Hispanic granddaughter and a strong, as you pointed out, Hispanic grandson, the lesson that I must teach them is that we never stop fighting, because fairness requires demonstrated commitment and action. It is the backbone of equality, and the men and women in this room, even when it doesn't feel like it's a straight line, I'm counting on you. Because in my state, we have some things we have to do. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that. But we have some things that are extraordinary, because families like yours stood up for families like them and others everywhere. And while you work, I'm back on track, and while you work to make sure that everyone in this country can access and exercise, frankly, the most fundamental aspect here, our sacred right, the right to vote. I'm inspired by you because your work is a testament to the idea at the core of this nation that those of us who love this country have the power to widen the circle of opportunity and to lift up everyone who calls it home. Now, I'm lucky. New Mexico has sent a lot of women and men of color, and particularly and primarily Hispanics, to elected office in so many ways. So why is it, after 400 years and 200 years, I'm the only Latina governor, the first and the only in the entire United States of America? You can clap. And I thank you for that honor. But majority minority state, incredible growth in this population, incredible benefits we provide and lead. Why is that? And this is an organization that's going to have to keep asking those questions, because there's power in what you do in the private sector, and there's power what we do in the public sector, and representation matters. So, because of you, I believe that step by step, brick by brick, we can build a nation that looks out for hardworking families, that values diversity, and quite frankly, for me, embraces democracy. A nation where no matter what you look like or how short you are, where you come from, same freedoms, and the same long-held American dream. Now, in my state, in New Mexico, we're motivated by that same ideal. And it has driven our path forward. And like so many states, because of this administration, Biden-Harris administration, I've worked for a lot. I was a cabinet secretary for 3 different governors for 18 years. I had to run for office to stop doing work for other governors. I think that's sort of a Latina Hispanic thing. I've worked for you, and now I can do it myself. Thank you. I worked with a lot of administrations. I got a lot of things done. I had a lot of challenges that were still left unmet. But I have never received the support and the kind of investments, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about those, ever in my entire about 40-year public work. And I also want to tell the men and women out here, I also owned a business, which I think really is the story of so many of us. I came from a family, you build a business, you work hard, and it's a very powerful tool to have done both those things in a country that should continue to fight for diversity in its entrepreneurs and its economy, and certainly LULAC does that. So like so many states, but I think we might have done it a little better, we made investments in infrastructure and economic development that have created the highest number of jobs in my state's history. And in fact, New Mexico, we're a poor state. People have been poor, ranchers and farmers in a state that's lost water. It's tough. That's a tough business to be in. We always had the highest unemployment in the country, or tied for the highest. We have now had the lowest, or right at the bottom, thanks to this administration and my hard work, the lowest unemployment in more than 20 years in the state of New Mexico. We've established conservation programs and tax credits that are preserving our natural beauty and protecting our climate while creating American jobs and securing our energy future. And really leaning in with men and women just like you, New Mexico is the second leading oil and gas producer in the country. We are also leading the nation in renewable energy and innovation, and more than 41% of our power just comes from wind alone, and we're the 5th best for geothermal, and I just did ribbon cutting on a brand new giant Netflix studio that is powered by geothermal energy, all on its own. And this administration, yeah, clap for that. adopted New Mexico's methane rules, making sure that our children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren are going to have clean air, and we can move into an environment where we know we can live through the devastation of climate change, but still build a robust economy. They are not mutually exclusive. And Hispanic men and women in New Mexico are demonstrating that more and better there right now than I think anywhere in America. We've delivered more affordable health care, more accessible child care, and are you ready for this? It's both. New Mexico is the only state in America that has a constitutional right to child care and early childhood education. And today, we're about a little more than halfway. I want us all to wrap our heads around this. I'm so proud of this fact, that more than half New Mexico's population with children that require daycare, that daycare is completely free. And when I leave this office in 2.5 years, I want to come right back here, wherever you are, but Vegas is fine with me. Except I'm always losing, but Vegas is fine with me. It will be free to every New Mexico family. 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds, free universal pre-K, a moonshot of billions of dollars into our K through 12, investments in literacy, millions of dollars. We're seeing real improvements. We're moving fast. And ready? We're the only state in America with free college. 2-year, 4-year, part-time, anytime, anywhere, everywhere. Because you know what? Our young people deserve a pathway to success, and it's time that we invest in them. And you know how we did that? I did that by using the tools that the Biden-Harris administration gave to me, proving that with your help, your hard work, that took hard work, that anything is possible. And in addition, we're a state that's made an incredible commitment to women across our state. Reproductive care is a fundamental right. And we do this by embracing what makes America extraordinary. Our capacity for invention and ingenuity, for equal rights, our generosity of spirit, our grit and determination, even in the face of tough obstacles. And our commitment to a vibrant, shared community that looks out for everyone, not just the powerful few. I'm proud to say again that the Biden-Harris administration has been an extraordinary partner in that work. And not only in New Mexico, but right here in Nevada and across the country as well. And I've really, I think, spoken to that over the last 4 years, the administration has made once unimaginable strides to ensure that the promise of our nation is real and available to every person who is willing to work for it. And in a state like mine with only 2 million people, with a lot of agriculture, with huge distances, hundreds of miles between communities, it can be easy to overlook a powerful, strong, incredibly proud state. But this administration didn't do that and provided the keys to success that were always right there if we were given the chances that we always deserved. They have overseen the creation, as you know, of more than 15 million new jobs, including more than 4.5 million jobs for Hispanic Americans and Latinos, driving, as I said earlier, unemployment to a 50-year low and delivering the lowest annual unemployment rates and the lowest child poverty rate that this community that we all work in and our country in many ways has ever seen. And in fact, New Mexico has really struggled there. And we're moving out of poverty faster than any state. And we're moving out of food insecurity at the second best clip of any state. And I'm a little competitive, so I'm gonna have to fix that. We're gonna have to be number one. And it's really important because we can't have good businesses and we can't support our families if we don't have that. And if we don't lower healthcare prices, reducing prescription drug prices for over 5 million Hispanic and Latino seniors. And they're taking on the immigration crisis. Reversing policies that have targeted dreamers and separated families. And they're reuniting more than 4,000 families that have seen their children torn away. And I'm going to tell you, even though my family's been in New Mexico for 400 years, we think about that and our lineage, and we're from Spain, and frankly, Portugal, Catholic, Jewish, very interesting, rich history in so many ways. But make no mistake, my diverse, proud Hispanic family is just that. And these are policies that protect my family right now, right here at home. And I think it's important that we all remind everyone else that none of us aren't impacted by fair immigration policies that require accountability and security at the border, which I'm going to demand that. And don't tear apart the fabric of our American families ever again. And I'm a little worried that I'm going on too long, which is typical for me. Once you give me a microphone, then it's just really over. But I'm going to go quickly, and I'm going to stay on script. Look, this is an administration that is committed to addressing gun violence, and I'm going to tell you, I declared that gun violence is a public health issue before the Surgeon General did, but I'm happy to have a little company in that space. We want people to have the right to protect themselves. I don't want guns in the hands of people who shouldn't have them, like 14-year-olds and people with severe mental illness. In this country, we know the risks for protecting and keeping our families safe. We know what it's like to be out there and make sure that we get a fair shake. We know what it's like to worry about whether or not our kids are going to graduate from high school and college. We know. I know. The fact that those lives could be taken far too early because guns and weapons of war are in the wrong hands is something that this group can fight against, and to move this country to a rational place where all of our children are protected. Gun violence is the leading cause of children's death in America, and we should just say, no more. No more. All right, I'm going to run through, we all know that we're the only country in the world that has mass shootings, and this is a community that saw what happens when people don't protect our communities from real threats of violence like Uvalde and El Paso shootings. And like so many communities, there's not a governor in this country who isn't faced with these same issues. And on the fight to restore the protections of Roe v. Wade, every state like mine needs to make sure that we're not making those choices for anyone. We're making sure that women are treated as equal citizens with fundamental rights to make their own decisions and to have the autonomy over their own bodies, period. And last, I know that none of this work that I've talked about in all this building for our states, and all of it isn't easy. I know that there are those who seek to turn our country backward to a time when we, the people, had a much narrower definition. And back to a time when discrimination drove public policy. Back to a time when your name dictated your future and the place you were born determined how far you could go. There are those who believe that those times were okay. Maybe even great, that we should make our country smaller with its goals, meaner with its resources, and crueler to its citizens, so that few powerful people can enjoy the spoils. There are those who think that Americans are too complacent, too worn out, and too beaten down to stand up for one another and for the progress we have made together. And frankly, as this president has said, it's never a good bet to bet against America, or quite frankly, do not bet against LULAC, Latinos, and Hispanics. And what I always tell people, I may be little, but I am mighty. And if my community isn't treated fairly, I will do whatever it takes to right that wrong, which is why it's such an honor to be here. I know that you don't just bet on progress. I know that you work for it. And lastly, I know that with the help of the men and women in this room and so many other members and organizations and connections, I have faith and I have hope that just being in this room reminds me that America is the right place to raise my granddaughter and my grandson. And I know that they are going to have boundless opportunities to shift and to shape and to lead. And for my family, we say 12th generation because I can't prove 16 generations because, as you know, there are no birth records in those teeny tiny houses tucked away in small communities from hundreds of years ago. So I like to say that my grandchildren will be 18th generation New Mexicans. I want them to have the opportunities that I have had and that you have had. And I want them to recognize the power of organizations like this. And I want them to be ready to stand tall, no matter their size, and to stand firm for the ideals that we all hold true in this country. Thank you for having me today. Thank you for standing up for my family today and every day. And thank you for the work that I know that you're going to do going forward. Congratulations to LULAC, and thank you all so very much. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. That is very nice.
New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham. I'll tell you, I think we're all moving to New Mexico. What do you think? Wow, that's impressive. Now, if I stand here, I can join a basketball team. We've got a couple of housekeeping items I need to mention to you. The great programming is going to continue, and some very special awards are going to take place. So I want you to hang in there, okay? Do that with me. Then the other thing is we've got a wonderful silent auction over there on my left, backstage. Well, over there, in front of the stage. This organization could really use your support for the Women's Commission. Go over there and check it out because it's going on through lunch. And speaking of lunch, that's coming up right now. Why don't you take a moment to thank the men and women who are going to serve you your meal. But for now, mis amigos, turn your attention to the screens. We're going to see a message from our silver sponsor, Airbnb. Bailey and I will be back right after lunch.
Buenos dias, LULAC. I'm Janaye Ingram, Director of Community Partner Programs and Engagement with Airbnb. And we're delighted to sponsor this year's annual convention and this Women's Hall of Fame luncheon. Airbnb is a community of hosts and guests in over 220 countries around the world. And we're focused on fostering cross-cultural connections, making our platform inclusive for all communities, and helping more Latino households access the economic benefits of home sharing. We're thankful that LULAC has been an important partner in this work since 2016. Through the years, your organization has partnered with Airbnb on important initiatives, including Mujeres Poderosas, our effort to ensure that Latinas can tap into the economic opportunities of hosting on Airbnb. Together, we took our message to cities like Chicago and Los Angeles and highlighted the strength and ingenuity of Latinas and how they are using hosting on Airbnb to earn meaningful income and build wealth for themselves, their families, and their communities. Through this effort, including our ongoing work with LULAC, we have empowered more Latinos to earn extra income by becoming Airbnb hosts. In 2023, The number of Airbnb hosts who chose Spanish as their primary language grew by an impressive 13% in the United States compared to 2022. Women like Kathy Cespedes exemplify this success. A first-generation immigrant based in Washington, D.C., and a dedicated special education teacher for 5th grade for 16 years, Kathy saved diligently for 3 years to buy her apartment. Now, as an Airbnb superhost, she uses her additional earnings to help her pay her mortgage, turning her dream into a reality. LULAC has also been a critical partner in Airbnb's fight to combat discrimination, including being an advisor for our Project Lighthouse initiative and helping us create a more equitable experience on our platform for communities of color. We are honored to continue this work with LULAC. Throughout all of this, LULAC has been a valuable voice, ensuring that the Latino community is represented, the priorities of the community are reflected in our work, and that we understand the value the community brings. We have benefited from our collaborative efforts, and we're grateful for the continued work together. To President Domingo Garcia and CEO Juan Proaño, thank you for all you do. You have been tremendous champions, and we look forward to continuing our work together. Finally, I want to acknowledge and congratulate this year's Women's Hall of Fame inductees. As Dolores Huerta once said, we do need women in civic life. We do need women to run for office, to be in political office. We need a feminist to be at the table when decisions are being made so that the right decisions will be made. For all that you do, for all that you have done, I'm honored to have this opportunity to help celebrate your accomplishments. Felicidades.
Please take a look at a special message from NEA's Becky Pringle.
Hello, LULAC. I am honored to bring you greetings on behalf of the 3 million members of the National Education Association, our nation's largest labor union. First, I must recognize your national president, Domingo Garcia, whose wise and visionary leadership has made LULAC a lighthouse of protest and possibility during these very challenging times. Along with CEO Juan Proaño and the National LULAC Board of Directors, you are pointing the way, always forward, to the fair, just, and equitable future we all deserve. LULAC, as you mark 95 years of power and progress, the NEA is proud to partner with you, this country's oldest and largest Hispanic organization. The enduring journey of our abuelas, abuelos, tios, tias, primos, and everyone in between has made you a cornerstone of our Latino community. You are proof that the adage is true. We are our ancestors' wildest dreams. Thank you for continuing to place your hands on the moral arc of this nation and bending it towards justice, most especially for our students. Your work to end discrimination against Mexican American students through overcrowded, underfunded, and unsafe schools led to the 1946 Mendez versus Westminster decision. But your win didn't just lead to the desegregation of California's public schools. That landmark case laid the groundwork for the Brown v. Board of Education decision, where the Supreme Court declared education is a right which must be made available to all on equal terms. LULAC, without your commitment, care, and courage, we might not be celebrating the 70th anniversary of that historic decision today. And we know the work of creating a more perfect union is far from done. Too many Latino students remain entangled in ongoing immigration battles designed to marginalize them and relegate Latinos to second-class citizenship. Last year's Supreme Court decision on affirmative action reaffirmed and strengthened the color-coded barriers that have been used throughout history to prevent Black, brown, and indigenous people from accessing the opportunities we all deserve and seek to achieve our dreams. LGBTQ plus Latinos, especially those who are transgender, are being marginalized and attacked simply for living as their authentic selves. And as book bans continue to mount across the United States, the rich history of Latinos in our nation is being whitewashed and rewritten. As we continue to demand that our nation live up to its ideals, let us be inspired by the words of Yale University law professor Claudia Flores, who reminds us we must be impatient for change. Let us remember that our voice is a precious gift and we must use it. LULAC, as you bring together workers and allies to learn, share, and grow together, to sharpen your work to organize members for collective action, to defend and advocate for civil human rights, to demand that every worker can earn a living in the safe and just environment we all deserve, I know that you will remain impatient for change. I know your voice is a precious gift, and I know that you will use it because you must. Thank you, LULAC, for your persistence and for your partnership. I wish for you a wonderful Presidential Awards banquet this evening and a very productive national convention.
Tu nombre me lleva atada en un pliegue de tu talle y en el bies de tu enagua. Porque te quiero a ti, porque te quiero. Aunque estás lejos, yo te siento a flor de piel. Porque te quiero a ti, porque te quiero. Se hace más corto el camino aquel. Tu nombre me sabe a hierba, de la que nace en el valle, a golpes de sol y de agua. Tu nombre me lleva atada en un pliegue de tu talle y en el bies de tu enagua. Porque te quiero a ti, porque te quiero. Mi voz se rompe como el cielo al clarear. Porque te quiero a ti, porque te quiero. Dejo esos montes y me vengo al mar. Porque te quiero a ti,